Hello and welcome to the amazing crash course on Java. Java is really essential language in programming world. Why? Because Java is really powerful and used for various high-end projects. And that's why I thought let's have a crash course on Java, and then later on, if you like these videos, if you hit like and subscribe and commented, if you want more from the Java thing, I will create a full big course on Java later on, but only if you like this video. So make sure you like it. Anyways, so we are going to start with a Java programming language. And I'm not going to waste your time telling what Java is, why we need it, lots of other things. You obviously know all these things, and that's why you are here. So you want to learn Java. So the very first thing we need to do is installing Java on our system. For that, let's go to the Google and search for Java download. I'm on Mac OS, so I will say Mac OS. Or if you want, you can not define anything, but you need to go to this link, which is for the Oracle. Do not go to the java.com. We need the SE version, the standard edition. And here we can see the LTS, the long-term support. LTS stands for long-term support. That means they will bug fix, they will do the bug fix and other things for this version only. But the latest version which is right now available is the 18th version. Although this is not a LTS version, but just for learning purpose, it's always better to use the latest version, not the LTS version. LTS version is obviously made for the real application which need long-term support for any versioning. Cool. So now we are going with the 18th version, and since we are on Mac OS, so I can select my OS, which is Mac OS. If you have Windows or Linux, you can choose something like that. Then I need the any version. So let's have this DMG version. So I'm going to click here to install this one and click here to just really have it on my system. This is installing or actually downloading. So I click here and it will open once downloaded to start the what is that thing, the process. So here I am, and let's double click on this one to open the window for the installer. And here it says it's for the 18th Java Development Kit. JDK stands for Java Development Kit. 18th version is there, and let's click on continue. Click install, and then I need to give my password and install software. And very soon the Java will be available on our system. This bell or ring or notification sound says that installation is successful. Let's click on close button, and this is just for Mac OS. It's asking that do you really want to remove the downloaded file since you have already installed it. So I say yes, just move it to recycle bin or just the bin, and I can unmount this from here, eject. That's it. We have successfully installed Java in our operating system or in our desktop or laptop or whatever you are using. But how do we ensure that yes, the Java is really available in our system? For that, you need to open the terminal. If you are on Mac or Linux, yes, we call it terminal. If you are on Windows, you need to press the start button and write CMD, the command prompt, the black window you see on the Windows operating system. So yes, open Windows CMD command prompt or terminal if you are on Mac or Linux. Then just write Java, then hyphen version. Absolutely important to put 2 hyphen. Remember, whenever you write any kind of command, and if you feel you have to write a word as a option thing in any command, then you say double hyphen. If you just have a single letter like V, then you are not going to use double, you just use the single hyphen. But Java doesn't support this thing. Java support double hyphen and the full word, which is version. And congratulations, you can see now the Java 18 is installed in our system. Java runtime edition, Java hotspot, everything related to Java is with a version 18th. Really awesome thing. Now this is just the installation and setup. Let's move to the next video. So let's move to the IDE. Which IDE we can use? There are a lot of options for working with a Java, and now we will going with a very awesome IDE called IntelliJ. To start with the IDE, the IntelliJ IDE, we first need to have it on our system. Once again, let's go to Google and search for IntelliJ. It's IntelliJ, okay, and just hit enter, and you will find this first link called JetBrains.com. So JetBrains is the company behind this IntelliJ IDE, which is really awesome IDE. So let's open this website, and it says, do you want to download? Obviously yes. And this IntelliJ IDE is not free if you want to use the ultimate version with a lot of functionality, but for community, but for learning purpose, they have created a community version which is obviously free. So I am on the macOS, so I'm going to use the DMG downloader for Apple Silicon and click on download, which is obviously clicked. If you are on Windows, follow the same step. You will find the exe file. You just need to download, save it on your download, click on the file. So once it is downloaded, it will open up for the installation. So let's wait for this file to be downloaded. And now you can see the installer application is open. What you just have to do is you just need to drag it on your application folder. Once again, this is just for the macOS thing. If you are on Windows, then you will find an installer. You just need to hit next couple of times, and then your IDE, the IntelliJ IDE, will be available on your system. So once done, you can close it, eject this, and then start searching for IntelliJ IDE. And see, this actually is inside of the application. So application, then IntelliJ. So you can directly go into the applications and you will find that IntelliJ will be there. So somewhere IntelliJ, yeah, right here. So you can you can double click it, or I use the search bar. So we are opening it, and very soon it will be in front of us. So first it's asking for some permission, so let's have it, open it, and I confirm some of the what is the term and conditions. Yes, I have read it fully, each and every line. Never. Okay, let's click on continue, and you can see now we are having this interface. What you have to do in this IDE, you just need to click on new project, because we are getting started with the Java. We don't have any previous project which we can open. We don't have any version control system or GitHub where we have our source we want to fetch. No, we don't have these two options. So we have only one option, new project. Click on this plus icon, and now it's asking for the project name. What is the project name? So I say Bitfumes Java. This is the project name, but where we want to store this project? So location would be according to me. So I will go and say it's on the Bitfumes, then it's on the Java, and yes, save it on this folder. So here we are, document Bitfumes Java. This is the directory or the path where I want this project to be created. Maybe inside of Java app actually. Yep, this is just my preference, nothing to do with any great thing. Then which language we are working? Obviously it's Java, not Kotlin, not Groovy, not HTML. Then build system. What is the build system? Don't worry about that, just click on IntelliJ, don't worry about any other thing. Now the JDK, Java Development Kit, which version of Java you would like to work? So obviously we have installed the 18th version, so let's use the 18th OpenJDK version, and that's it. Just click on this create button at the right bottom and you can see our application is ready. It's asking for some permission, click on OK, and it's downloading pre-built shared index. Something is doing. I don't have to care about these things. What I have to care about is on the left side. See, this is the name which we have given to our project called Bitfumes Java, and it's on this level of directory, the document Bitfumes Java, Java app, and Bitfumes Java. Inside this directory, the directory is named with Bitfumes Java. We have this SRC folder, which is extremely important folder in Java world. Why? SRC is actually stands for source. So if you double click here, you will find that you must accept the legal, something is saying that you have to accept it. Okay, I can accept. Yes, that's it. And now project structure, it's asking and showing all these things. I can just cancel this, and it's not having anything. What? This is not good. Okay, so why this directory structure we have is doesn't having any code? So you can see there is no Java code. That's bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this IntelliJ and I'm going to remove this project. Go to my document, Bitfumes Java, Java app, and totally remove it, delete it. That's it. Okay, now I can delete it. And this means now I'm going to create a new project with the same name, or maybe I can use the Java app, the name, and this should be inside this Java, like here. Okay, so maybe I can remove this, and now so we know that IntelliJ will going to create a directory with the same name, which is the project name, inside the path which we have defined, and that's why I deleted that folder. Now everything is going to be same, but this time I'm going to click on this button called add sample code. With this thing, if we click on this create button, you will see now this time we have obviously the Java app as the name which we have given inside this directory, the Bitfumes document Bitfumes Java, Java app. But now we have the main inside the SRC directory. Previously we didn't have any file inside the source directory or the SRC directory, but this time yes we have. And main, remember that this file name is with a capital M. Absolutely important thing. Capital M is the real thing. And you can see we can't have any like extension here, but that's not true. If you go on the directory, how I can open it? Yeah, so here on the source, actually the main is main file having extension of main.java. So .java is the extension. So if you have a text file, you will have .txt. If you have a video file, you have a MP4. The image will have a .jpg. Similar to that, this file is a Java file, and that's why it is a main.java, and remember, with a capital M. Okay, let's get back here, and then I can zoom it. No, I don't. So I can just zoom it from my system, and here you can see the main.java file is extremely important. Why? Because everything starts from this point. Okay, so let's understand this thing in the next part, and we are keeping this IDE open, and we can see that we are progressing very smoothly, understanding each and everything in this crash course. See you. And now let's understand the sample code we have in our project, and we will do some of the things. But even before that, I just want to make our IDE looks good. At least make the font bigger, because right now it's very small, tiny. So what I'm going to do first, to go on the settings, yes, you can go directly like this and preferences, but I will try to use the keyboard. So since I'm on a Mac, I'm going to press Command and the comma, which is going to open this window. If you are on Windows, then you can press Control and the comma, which is going to open this window. Now, if you don't know where you have to go, just go to the editor, open this editor, and then you will find this font. Just double click on the font, and then you will find this thing. The font size is 13. I want to make it 16 like this, or maybe 18. Line height is the height between, or the space between two lines, so I can make it 2. You can see looks good. Enable ligature. Ligature is like if you say like 1 2 3, so you can see it's become like this. If I disable this ligature, it will become like this. So I really like the ligature, so I have this one. Now click on OK, and it's applied. Good. So you can see now it's looking good, having a very smooth to our eyes. Every main or every main file in Java is start with the main class. Now what is class? So remember your school days. In your school days, we have a different class, the class first, class second, class third. So similarly, the main file should or must have a class called main. But why we need a class? Because in single class, we will have all the functionality of the application. Like if you are on 5th class, all the students of the 5th class are doing similar stuffs. Not exactly same, but the relative stuffs. Similar here, we are creating the class, but you can see we have 3 words: public, class, and main. Why 3? So public, as the name suggests, is for publicly available. So when we say public, that means anything which is public can be accessed by any outside world. So for a software, for a language, what is the outside thing? Outside thing means the user, or maybe some other application. So that's the simple thing. Then since we have defined this class as public, we need to give the name. So what is the name of the class? Main. But remember, this word, the main, has to be exactly similar with the file name. So file name is main with a capital M, and that's why the class name is main with a capital M. Okay. Then we have these curly braces, starting and the closing. So see, when I click here, either right side or left side of this curly bracket, you can see it's highlighted, and this is why we have used this IDE for IntelliJ. This helps us writing the code easily. And you can see this is starting, this is ending, and this curly braces is actually going to enclose or handle or keep all other code for this class. and that's great thing. So we have the class called main. Now let's get inside of the class, and we can see we have one function which is also called main. So I use two words, one function called main. Now things may be getting confused because there is a file called main, there is a class called main, there is a function called main. Now think about function as the student of the class. So we have a school class, this one. Then we have a student called class. Then we have a student. Here we call them functions. Now, the function name is also main. But before that, we have three words: public, static, void. So many things. So why we have these things? Public, as I told you once again, since this function, the main function, not class, not file, the main function is public, that means it can be accessed by outside of the class. Yes. It's static means it's not going to do any other things. So I can leave this static thing for later explanation. But for now, let's move to the void. Void means it's not going to return anything. So think about this as a main function. So if I create a function called sum, I expect that it will get the result, or it will give me return as a summation of two number. So if I provide 2 and 3, it must return 5 because that is the role of that function. But what is the role of this main function for now? It's just printing the hello world. So after that, what we have here? Public static void main, then string args. So a string, and then we have these brackets. So brackets means it's going to be an array. Now what is array? Don't worry about this. Think about array as a collection of different string. Now what is a string? A string, think about a string as a word. So this is a string and this is a word. Okay, obviously it's a combination two word, but we call it word. And args means args, it's a short form for arguments. That means when we call this function, we are going to pass anything, like any string, array of a string. But we have after that the curly braces once again. These curly braces include the system.out.println and then bracket hello world. So this line is actually going to print whatever we define inside it into the console. Now what is console? Let's see first by running this application. So let's go to the run option and click on this run, and you can see we have a shortcut for this. So we have a control option and R. This is for Mac. If you are on Windows, you will find some other keyboard shortcut, but let's use my mouse and click on run. So it says what you have to run. I want to run the main. And very soon we will have the terminal, and you can see in the terminal we have the hello world. Congratulations! But what if we change hello world to hello bitfumes? Bitfumes, like this. Then I will use my shortcut this time, control option and R, asking for this main, and it's doing something, building stuffs, and woo! You can see we have a hello bitfumes. But after that we have some space, a single line of a space, and then we have a process finished with exit code 0. Exit code 0 means everything is fine, no issue. If it's not 0, then we have to think about this bit, because 0 means success and anything other than 0 means failure. Okay, so we are getting 0, that means we are successful. So just before closing this one, let's clean each and everything, and then I will start by writing public. You can see since we are using the IDE, the IntelliJ, it will suggest what you want to do, and if you find any suggestion really you want to write, just hit enter, so it will auto complete it. Public, then class. Obviously it says that obviously since you are on the main file, you must have to create a class called main, and that's why we have the suggestion not just for the class but the main class, the name also added. So I just need to hit enter, and the IDE knows that when you create a class you need the curly braces, so it has added the curly braces by default. Great. Now remember, inside this class we need to create a function, so I will say public, and it's giving option, so public. Then if I say s, comes the static, void, and main. I'm going to give the name as the main, and then I say string, args, and obviously like this, strings, I believe, yeah. And then system.out.print.ln, so a system.out.print.ln, and hey. Now the problem is we have to write all these things. Do we have any shortcut? So s out, s means system, out means obviously the out. So if we type s out and hit enter, it will autocomplete everything, and then you will have everything here. But one thing you may have noticed here is this code which we have written and the code we had previously, like if I undo a lot of times, is difference with the capital S. So when we define the type, we need to use the capital S. So that's why we had the issue with our code. So we need to use capital S and everything is fine. One more thing you have noticed here, that we can use the double quotes, not a single quote, which is very nice. And now what we can do, it's not a strings, it's just a string. Now what we have to do, we can also run just by clicking on this icon, and if I run it, we will find hey on the console, and this time the main function is automatically called. So finally we understood that okay, how this main function works, how this main class works, how the main file works in Java. Awesome, really great start with each and every bit of the code we got. Now we speed up our coding, our learning with the Java thing. Now we have this system.out.println with a string of hey. But what if you want to print once again hey? So you can see we are actually typing this hey 2 times. First on the line 3, you can see on the left line number is there, so line 3 and line 4. It is not a good practice. Why? So suppose this is not just a 2 times, it's 1,000 times. Then later on you want to change this hey to, let's say, hello. So I need to change hello on 1,000 places. Obviously it's not good thing. So in this case we need another amazing concept in programming, which is called creating a variable. Now what is a variable? From the name it says that variable which can vary. So how we can create a variable, how we can use it, and what exactly is. So let's first see how we can move this hello which we have written here into a variable. So in Java you can create variable just by giving the name, then equal to sign, and then the value. Let's see. So I'm going to give a name called message, and then I will provide a equal to sign, and then I will move this thing from here to here. But in Java, if you want to terminate the line and you say that okay, I'm done with the coding on this line is done, you need to give the semicolon, and that's it. But what happening here? So think about a variable as a box. So a box can contain some value or some things. In a real box you can contain some things. In a programming box, which we can call variable, you can contain some data. So in a variable, which is a box, the value is this thing. So this equal to sign is not a mathematical equal sign like 2 like 4 is equal to 2 multiplied by 2. This is not the thing. In programming, when you say equal to sign, that means this is called assignment operator. Whatever the value we have on the right side of this assignment operator, which is equal to, what is the right side? This is hello. So on the right side of equal to sign, we have some value which we can assign to the left side container, which is the message variable. Okay, so what this statement says that, hey, assign this value to this variable. Okay, that's it. But here our IDE, the IntelliJ, is giving some error and it's making this message as a red color. It says cannot resolve symbol. Why symbol? We are creating a variable. Why it's taking it as a symbol? So in Java, whenever you create a variable, you need to define, you need to tell to the Java that, hey Java, the variable we have created is a type of string. Okay, so the type of container, or I can say the type of value that will be available inside the container, which is going to be a string. This is very important for Java to get that what is the type of the value. So value is a string. Now since we have created the variable, we know how to create variable. We can use this variable right here directly inside the print statement, and we can just say message here and once again message here. Let's save this file and run this program, run the main class, and very soon you will see 2 times hello on our console, 1 and 2. That's really amazing how this is happened because of the variable. And now even if you can use this variable 1000 times, you just need to change hello to hey, save this file, run the program, not debug, run the program, and you will see that hey is here. That's really great. So similar to this, if we want to create some other type of variable, we can create by giving the prefix of that type. So what is the actual type of this message variable? We know we have defined it as a string, and then we are passing the string. But what if we pass any number here? As soon as we write the number, our IDE, the IntelliJ, is providing this squiggly red line, which is representing some kind of error. So the error says that required type is string provided int. What is int? See this. I can zoom it for you. Provided int. Int means integer. So the type here which we are providing is int. So now let's understand how we can create other types of variable. But before that, we need to understand what are the basic types or scope of variable. So we will understand the int related thing and more of the different data types. But for now, let's understand about the scope of variable. So before moving forward into the type of variable we can define, I can tell you about the comments. So comments are basically not for the programming, it's for the programmers. We, you and me, all the programmers who write code, who read this code, the comments are for those person. And this means when we compile this code, that means when we create this code for the production ready, we convert this code for the real application, then all the comments will be skipped out by the Java. So why actually we need the comments? So comment can be created in Java by using 2 forward slash. And why we call this forward slash, you can see it's like forwardly declined or inclined, whatever it is. So it's just bend forward, so that's why it's forward slash. We also have a backslash, but because it's moved to the back side, so that's why the forward slash we have two. Okay, now to create the comment, just have two forward slash, and after that you can write anything. And as I told you, this is just for the programmer, just for giving extra information about what the code is. So you can create the single line comment, something like this, or suppose you want to describe about this variable you have created. So after this semicolon, you can use your double forward slash and say that this variable is for tutorial. That's it. So when you compile this code, all these comment will be cleared out for the programmer, for the program, because all the program need is the real code, and this is not the code, this is the comment for the readability, for explaining things. And you can not just create a single line comment, you can also create a multi-line comment. And this multi-line comment is useful for documentation, or you can also call this as a doc comment. So how you can create the doc comment? One more time, you need to create a forward slash, then you need to give the asterisk. This is extremely important. Give the asterisk and then similarly reverse it. So first asterisk and then the forward slash. Between this you can write anything. Yes, you can write your comment. So write your comment. Okay, you can also use this type of comment for multi-line. So I say, hey, something like this, but I like this way. Okay, so I can say this is for multi-line, and I can write in different lines. So this type of multi-line comment is useful for creating the documentation. We will see in the later on episodes how this is useful, but this is extremely useful in terms of creating the documentation for your program. If you are not aware of what documentation is the guide of your program. So if you write this kind of comment as you write the code, that will be very beneficial for you. So we know that the comment are not for the program, it's for the user, or it's for the programmer who write code, who read code. So what is the best practice? Do we really need to type the comments every time we write code? So it depends. If you are working in a team, then yes, you need to write comments so that if someone else is reading your code, you can provide some extra information about what that code can do or why you have written that code. So that will be useful. But if you are just writing code for yourself, or you are the solo developer, no need for the comment. But once again, even if you are a solo developer, then this type of comment, the doc comment, are extremely useful, as I told you, to create the documentation. So this is for the comment, but we know that we need to learn about different type of variables. Let's learn that. Now what I did before starting this video is just I opened the terminal and then I say git init, and after that I just use the git commit add all git commit with after that I did git add all and then git commit, and that's why you are now able to see my GitHub username here on this file. Anyways, if you're not aware of Git, you must learn it, but let's continue the Java. So we know that we need to create the different kinds of variables. So what are different kinds of variables? So let's write it on a comment so that we can later on understand. First is local variable, then second is static variable, And third is non-static or instance variable. Okay, so let's talk about the first, local variable. Local variable are the variable which are defined inside this method. Okay, so this function or method, you can call it. For now, function and method I will use same for same situation, but don't worry about that, we will figure out later. So when you define any variable inside this main function or method, okay, then you can call this message variable as the local variable, because this is only available inside of this main function. So I can prove this by creating another function. So public static void test, and inside this I'm going to say print for message. You can see, although this IDE is giving error that hey, cannot resolve symbol message. Okay, and we can call this function inside our main function. So I say test, we're using the parenthesis and the semicolon, and if I try to run it, obviously we know that it's going to give error because it's already giving error, but you will see that we are getting this error, variable message not defined inside this function. But we can define the similar same name variable, the variable with the same name but with a different value. You can see this will not going to give any error. So one, we should get message printed for main function, and then we run this test function, so another message for the test variable will be there. So let's run it, and you can see hey and then Sarthak. This time it's not giving any error because the message variable which we have created is inside this test function, and this is local variable. That means the scope or the validity of this variable is just inside that that function. Then second, we have a static variable. For the static variable, you need to use the keyword of static before the naming of the variable. So I will call static, and I will say planets, number of planets. So number of planets is equal to 9. Now we need to define it as integer because always define the variable type. Now this is a static, means how many times you create the instance of this class. Now what is instance? Instance, think about instance as the copy. So it's not exactly copy, but just think about it as a copy. So how many times we create the instance, the value of this number of planet will always going to be 9, is never going to be reinitiated. So that's why it's static, as the static keyword represent. It's not going to move, it's not going to change. That's why it is called static, and we always define this outside of the main function or outside of any function. So you can see when we try to define a static function inside a method, you can see inside a function, you can see it says hey, you cannot do that. Now this is called static variable. Now comes the non-static variable. So any variable defined outside of the functions, that means inside class but outside of the function, is called non-static or instance type variable. So if I say int speed of car, and we can say let's say 50. So when we define this outside of the functions and without a static keyword, we can say that hey, this is a non-static or instance variable. Okay, so that's a cool thing, and let's move to the really amazing topics in Java. As you know, we can define the variable and the type. So the string is the type, int is the type. So similar to these two, we have some other data types available in the Java. So when I say data type, why we call it data type? Because in any variable you pass or you assign the data. Remember, this equal to sign is the assignment operator using which you can pass or assign this data into this variable, some item into the box like that. So we need to define the other, or we need to understand other data types. So in Java there are two broad data types available. One is primitive data type, another is non-primitive data type. So let's first talk about the primitive data type. In primitive data type we have Boolean. Boolean is just for, you can say, true and false. Then you can also have the numeric data type. So in numeric data type you have two other options. One is the character and other is the you can say integral. So in the character you can define char, so char, char. And in the numerical we have another two. One is the integer, another is the floating. So in integer you have different types, which is called so short, long, int and byte. In the floating type we have a float and double. And with this tree I know you get confused, so I'm going to explain you each and everything right here right now. So I'm going to clean up this thing so that we can have the space to understand all other things. So let's remove this test, and then I'm going to write a comment. So I say comment something like this, and now here I'm going to say the data types. So first, as I said, is going to be Boolean. Second is going to be the char. Third is going to be byte. Fourth is going to be short. Fifth is long. Sixth is int. Seventh is float, and eighth is double. So these are all data type for, I can say, primitive. Okay, similar to primitive we also have a tree for non-primitive. So when I say non-primitive data type, I need to write some very important thing, which is a string. Yes, a string is a non-primitive data type. Then comes the very important array and some others. So let's now break down each and everything one by one, and start with the primitive data types. So let's start with Boolean. When I say Boolean, that means I am going to define either true or false, yes or no. So what is the normal condition in daily life? So if you want to go outside but you ask your friend like, hey, are you coming? So what he can answer? He can say either yes or no. So in that case you have to give the variable name according to that, which store either true or false. So are you coming with me? And yes, trust me, this is the real variable name I have created. So remember this thing, variable name always has to be descriptive. So I say true, and when I say true, now our variable is created, or a container which is now having a value of true created, and we define that this container is only going to hold either true or false. Why? Because the type is Boolean. So we can say, hey, are you coming with me is going to be here, and if I try to print it, then you will see that true will be printed right here. Great. And if we try to assign any other variable, Java or the IntelliJ IDE is going to give us error like this. Yes, so this means we need to move to the next one, which is for char. So let's see how we can add a char type variable. So
for that we just need to say char and then the name of the char. So I can say capital C. This is the name I have given to this one, and since this is a char which is going to only support a character, or I can say in English word only one letter, so we can use the single quote and then say capital C. That's the capital C. Obviously you can give any letter, but if you add more than one, then it becomes a string. So if I hover over it, you can see it says too many character in character literal, so we just need to have one. So this is how we create a new character variable. But the character in Java supports more than this thing. So if you are familiar with the Unicode, then the string, the strings we have created and the char supports the Unicode. Now for that I'm going to replace this capital C with backslash, then U and 0043. So what is this 0043? 0043 is actually the Unicode for C, the capital C especially. This backslash and U represent that, hey, whatever I have defined is actually a Unicode. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use and print this capital C variable which we have created, and then try to run this main function and see what we are getting. Exactly, we are getting the capital C. And in characters we can add more things, like we can also say B, or maybe let's say, is it B backslash? So I can use the T, which is for the tab. Okay, so I say like this, and can we add any other thing? No, we cannot add. So if I try to run this thing, this is going to add a tab space. So you can see we have a tab space. You will be able to see this when I select that part. So now we have a tab. So these things are available in char, which is really useful. After that we can also create a byte which is going to take only 1 byte of space, and we can define like this, and this is just the byte, and the difference between these things are obviously the space or the memory it take in the memory. So for B we have this 98. Now what if we have capital C here, and when we try to run it, and let's see what's going to happen. It's a 67. So what is this 67 and 48? It's actually the ASCII number. So this is the ASCII number for C, and we are stored in the byte which is taking 1 byte of space. Now after that boolean char byte, we have short, long, int, float, double. All these 4, or actually 1 2 3 4 5 are related to the numeric one. So let's understand everything in the next video. So this is the time for the numeric literals, which is basically related to numbers. So these three, let's see in detail. So I'm going to create a number or integer variable, and for that we just need to say int, then the name, let's say the age, and the value comes 30. And as before I had also explained you, if I try to add a string into the age which is an integer of type, then obviously we are getting error, something like this. So this is the way we can create an integer. Now if I keep adding numbers, you can see at some point we are still again getting a squiggly line for red color, which is representing an error, and basically it is saying that, hey, whatever number you're trying to add into the integer is too large. So what is the acceptable amount? So save it, no, yeah. So 1 2, okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So 10 up to 10 digit it is acceptable. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 0. So you can see we have 10 digit which is acceptable in integer. But what if we want to add some more things? So if I want to add 1 2 3 4 5 more, it's not acceptable here. So for that case, we need to create a long variable, and this time I'm going to say random number, and this random number should say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0 1 2 3 4 5 and semicolon. But what happened here? Still we are getting this thing, and it says that hey, it's too long. So whenever you create a long type of variable which should contain very long number, then you need to provide either a small l or a capital L. So it is preferable to use a capital L because small l sometimes cannot be readable as the letter. So yes, capital L is good. And as we have added the capital letter, the error is gone, and it's very easy to understand. Okay, this is a long number. Now, can we do the same thing in the integer? So if I add some more value and then I say L, no, that's not possible. So this means the random number is a long number. Okay, that's why we need another kind of data type called long. We also have a short one, so short number, and we can simply say hey, it's a short number, and yeah, short means very short digit, maybe only 1 or maybe -1 or -2, something like that. So yes, all these numbers can include positive numbers and the negative numbers. I will talk about the range of all these things in the later episode, but for now this is the only thing we need to understand here in the integer literals, which is basically the integer type of data type. Exactly. But sometime in programming, what happens is you cannot represent some number with the digit which is a decimal or base 10. If you are familiar with this is the base 10 number. We also have a hexadecimal and the binary. So let's talk about the binary one. And if I say binary, it's binary shayad. Now binary number, and binary number is just a 0101. So I say 111, which is I remember it's 7, I think. So this is 7. So if I try to print this, what should we get? Binary number, and we need to print it. So let's run this one without this thing, and let's see what we are going to get. We are getting exactly 111. So it's not binary 1, which should be 7, but it's actually 111. So how we can tell to our Java that hey, this number is a binary number? So for that we just need to say 0 and then small b, and that's it. After this, whatever we define is going to be the binary number. So let's run this once again, and this time let's see what we are going to get, and boom, we are getting 7 here, which is the binary representation for 111 is the binary representation of 7. Okay, similar to this one, let's create another called hexa number. Hexadecimal number is a hexa number. In hexa number, we start from obviously from 0 till the till I think F. So A will become the 10, B will become 11, something like that. So we can say that hey, it's going to be a hexa number, and I want that number to be 3A2 or 32A. Let's say something like this. Now what happened is when I add A, the Java is said, hey, what you're trying to do, it's not a number. But to explain to the Java that hey, this is actually a hexadecimal number, I just need to say 0 and then X. As soon as I provide 0 and X, it's now ready to be accepted and no error. So now this time if I print hexa number, you will see some number will appear here, which is 810. 810 is the representation by 32A hexa number. Cool. So this is the way we can understand the hexa numbers, but Also the integer literals in Java, which include int, long and short. At last, we need to understand float and double. So creating a float integer or float number is very easy. So how we can create a float number? We just need to say float and then we provide the name. So let's say pi stands for obviously the pi 3.14. The value is 3.144, like that. But if as soon as we write this one, we are getting error. Why we are getting error? And this error is saying something. It says that, hey, you are providing double, but you have created the variable as a float. What happening here? So the difference between double and the float is nothing, just the memory allocation. This float actually take 32-bit of memory, but if you create a double and let's say underscore pi to represent another pi variable, so I'm going to say 3.14, which should be 3 once again, 3.1415, something like that. It's going to take 64-bit of memory. Now which one you use and which one is right to have in your code? When you're not defining anything and you just use the decimal number, it's actually a double. So you have seen that without writing any other thing, it's a double. But if you really want to force that, hey, this should be a float number, you need to give either a small f or a capital F. Once again, capital F is preferred for the readability purpose. So both is going to accept the decimal number, but the double is a 64-bit one and the float is for 34-bit one. So if you don't have big number which is a floating number or a decimal number, then it would be preferred to use a float so that it will not take much memory in your program. Otherwise, if you have a very big number, double is obviously available for you. Cool. So this is a short introduction with the double and float. Let's move with the other topic in Java. And we have the variables, but creating a name, a good name for a variable is really important thing. Yes, and there are some rules in Java using which you can create the variable name, and obviously you have to follow that rule. Something is allowed, something is not allowed. So first rule for creating the variable name is, let's get back with every other thing which we have so that we don't have any error. Copy, paste, clear. Okay, now I'm going to keep it here. So you can create the variable with obviously all the strings, yes, and you can also start your variable name with the underscore. This is also possible. Then you can also start with the dollar sign. This is weird and this is generally used in PHP world, but yes, Java also support dollar sign before the variable name. So yes, you can use the dollar sign and underscore before the name of your variable. Similarly, if you have these three things, like you can use the string name, then you can use underscore at the beginning or dollar sign, but you cannot have any spaces in your name of your variable. So then comes the next question. If I want to create a variable name which consists of many words, so like message for my friend, so this is a single word and it's not readable. So generally what we do, we add some space, but obviously spaces are not allowed. So there is an option to create the variable name by making the first letter capital for each word. Yes, this is the preferred or recommended way of creating variable name, where you have more than one word and you want to make that looks good, more readable, and obviously with inside the rules of the Java. Cool. So these are the things you have to remember for creating the variable name. And at last, obviously the variable name should be descriptive. You don't have to use the X, you don't have to use like ABCD ASDF, which is very famous. So you have to give the name which should be the purpose of that variable. So I'm creating variable to print the message. So to print message, to print, so something like that, message to print. That's it. Whatever you say, whatever you want to do with your variable, just name as it is. And keep in mind that it should not be a sentence like I want I want to print this. Not like this obviously. So you got the point, how you have to create the variable and variable name with the rules, and that's really amazing. But wait, I forgot one thing which is extremely important. In Java, the variable name is case sensitive. How that is going to be here? So if I say age is equal to 30, and if I say age with the capital letters is equal to 30, or maybe not 30, let's say 20, and finally I say age is equal to 10, all these three age variable are considered to be different because the variable names are case sensitive. So all letters are lowercased, all letters are uppercased, one letter is only uppercased, other two are lowercase. So these are making difference. These all are distinct, different variable and point to different memory location in the Java. So this is the final thing, and yes, it's now done for the variable thing in Java. Before moving to the non-primitive variables, we can not just define the variable with a value, we can define the values, we can define the variable without any value. Now, this seems like a strange thing. So think about this. We know that variable is just like a box, and variable is an empty box, and when we say equal to something, that the right side of the equal to sign is the value which is we are putting inside the box. Now if we are not giving any value, that means the box we have created, the variable, is empty. But think about in a real world, if a box is empty, is it really empty? No, we have something inside that. What's that? Air. So this is the physical world, but in this computer world, in the programming world, what we have for the empty age integer variable, to check that thing, I'm going to print the value of this age variable, and we are getting some error. It says variable age might not be initialized. So we can do one thing, we can just move this and create a static variable, static int age. This is a class based or static variable. Remember, we have seen the different kinds of variables, so that's how it is. And now you can see the age is here, and let's try to run this function or run this program, and we can see now the default value for integer is 0. That's very nice because integer means the numbers, and what should be the default value, the minimum value? It's just int. Now what if I say boolean? If I say age is a boolean thing, then what we should get inside the default value for boolean? It's false. Cool. So default value for boolean is false. What if I say string? Let's see what we have in the string as a default value. So when I run this thing, and we get null, not an empty string, we get null this time. Now what about the char? So this is going to be interesting. So let's run it and see what we get for the null. Oops, you can see we are getting something, but we are not getting something. I'm confused. We are getting something, something is here, but we cannot see. So this is actually the empty. Yes, or it is called null character. Now, what is a null character? Remember, in char we have seen that we can add the Unicode for any character. So for that we just need to use the backslash, then u, and then some number for the Unicode for the character. But for null character we use 4 zeros like this. So if we have char with the default value, so this is the default value for the char. So yes, it's super easy. Boolean char. Let's have the byte. So byte, I'm going to remove this one, save this file, and run this program once again, and let's see what we have in the byte. Byte is also having 0. So I think this is very easy to understand what is the default value for different types of variable data types. And it's extremely important because when sometimes you don't want to initialize any variable value, you don't want to give any value to the variable, you just want to have the variable so that later on you can use it. And this is the way. If you don't know what is the default value for it, you may create some buggy program. Buggy program means the program which has some bugs. Cool. So let's move forward in the Java. Hey, so we have talked about the non-primitive data type, string, array, etc. But the array is very important. Name is array. Call it array. Array. So yes, let's talk about arrays. So how we can create the arrays. But before that, why we need arrays and what is the use, the purpose of the arrays. So let's say I'm going to have the team members name in my program. So how I can do that? I say member 1 is going to be Sarthak, me. Then string member 2 is going to be Manpreet. Then string 3, member 3 is going to be Debjit. Now these 3 names are good, but what if you have a lot of names in your team, like a lot of team members? If you have, it will be very difficult to manage all these you can say all these variables. So in programming we have a very nice way of collecting all these data into one variable. So it's not variable, but you can consider it as a bigger box which can hold a smaller box inside that. So that's bigger box, we call it array. So array will be something like this. So if we have one array called members, then members will hold Sarthak, then Manpreet, and then Debjit. Cool. So in this way we have added more members in one array declaration, and obviously you can pass this members to other class, you can use this, you can print it, anything you can do with just one name which is called members, instead of having 3, or maybe if you have 20 members in your team, you don't have to manage 20 variables, you just have to manage one. So this is why we need the arrays. Next comes how we can create the array. So let's remove each and everything from here because we are going to work with the array, which is absolutely important. And to create the array, it's very simple. It's absolutely like we create the variables. How we create the variables? We first define the type, then we define the name, which is members. Okay, so this is the normal declaration of a variable. But to make this as an array, you need to use this square brackets or angle bracket, if you call it. You can use this bracket here after the name of the array, or you can add this angle brackets after the type of the array you have created. So this is called the declaration. We have declared that, hey, somewhere there is an array with the type of string. That means in this array, the element, the values we can add is the type of string. So
Think about array as a bigger box which can hold more than one item. Remember, in our variables, I told you that variables are a box which can hold some item, but variables can hold one item at a time. This array is a bigger box, so it can hold multiple items at the same time. So if we try to print this array, we are going to get some error, and the error is saying that, hey, you have declared it, but you have not initialized its value. So how we can initialize? We need to define what should be the length of our array. How we can do that? We just need to say new, and using the string and the angle bracket like this, and inside this angle bracket we need to give the length of our array. So suppose length is going to be 3, and that's it. We have defined it, and that's good. So we are not getting any error. This means, can we really print the values? Although we have not given any value, we have just to say that, okay, there should be some string. So what we should get, let's try to run it and see. So we are getting some kind of different code and different numbers. This is because in Java you cannot directly print all the arrays. What you have to do, you have to actually call each and every element one by one. How? You can say that, hey, I want the first element of this first index of this member array. And what is that? In first index means, I will going to give you the introduction later, but let's first run this program and see. We are getting null. Remember, in the last video we learned that a string, if not initialized, then having the default value of null. So like this, if we try to convert this string into int, now member variable is having a type of int. So what should be the default value for this? If you have seen the last video properly, you know that it's going to give you the 0 as the element value. Now let's get back with the string array, and this time we have initialized this, we have declared this. Sorry, so this one is declaration and this one is initialization. Now I'm going to assign the value. How we can assign? We just say members, and then we use the same square bracket, and this time I'm going to define the index number. So index start from 0, and on that I'm going to put Sarthak. So what is this 0 means? See, whenever we say that, hey, we have a 3 element inside the member, one is Sarthak, second is Manpreet, and third is Devajit. But in programming world, in computers, everything start with 0. The counting start from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. And this is why the array element start from the 0. The first element having the index of 0. Okay, so that's why I put 0 here, because it's the first element but having the index 0. Now to create the second element with the index of 1 like this, I'm just going to say Manpreet, and third one is going to be the Devjit. Cool. So we have declared, initialized, and assigned the value to all the indexes, all the element. And now if we try to get the first element, first indexed value for the member array, let's see what we are going to get. We are getting Manpreet. That's really great. Now I have one question in my mind. If we have defined the variable length to 3, that means it can only hold 3 elements, 0, 1, 2 only. What if we try to get index which is not available inside this array? Let's say 10th. So obviously 10th index is not available because the length of this array is only up to 2 index or 3 element. Remember this, it's little confusing. 2 index, so 0, 1, 2 index, and if you count the number of element, it's 3. Okay, so obviously the 10th is not available, but what error we are getting, which is extremely important in Java. So run it, and it says that, hey,
Index 10 is out of bound for the length 3. What is the length? 3. So in this array thing, there are many properties available. So if you want to get the length of any array, so how we can do that? We just need to say dot, and you can see this IDE, the IntelliJ, is providing you a lot of functions which is readily available for array, but we are interested in length, the first one you can see here. So if I just say enter, we are getting the length. And now if we try to run once again, we should only get the length of the array, which is 3. So if I change it to 4 and try to run it once again, it's going to be 4. So this is the array, how you can create, how you can initialize, how you can declare the array in Java. You know, the array is really a blessing in any programming language, and in Java it's not an exceptional case. So array is very useful when you want to pack more information, similar kind of information, in one array name instead of having a lot of variable name. So what we can do more on this? So there is a concept of multi-dimensional array, but we are going to talk about two-dimensional array only. And yes, the name is a little scary, multi-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, but it's very easy. The concept is very easy. Don't worry about this. So how we can create the array? We define the type, then we define this square bracket, which is the real key, and then the name, and then finally we initialize with the length of our array. So to add one more level, we just need to use another square bracket. Yeah, so it's very easy. Since we have added another square bracket, another level, we have to define another level length. So the second level length is going to be only 2. So this we have created, but we are getting some kind of error. What error we are getting? Let's see. So this says that, hey, you required a string of array of a string, but you are giving only single string. So here it says that you have to give the array. There is one more way that you can define that, hey, on which level we are creating this. So if you're not understanding, or if you are not able to visualize this thing, here is very nice representation. So when I say I have an array of column of 4, rows 3, so that becomes something like this. So when we say A00, it representing this column. When I say A01, that means the first row and the second column, column number 2, index number 1, and similarly something like that on other thing. So we have two level. First we have here, which is going to be the rows. So first is the rows 1 and 2 and 3. So we have 4 rows. We can make it 3 rows, and then we have it 2 columns only. So what we can define, we can say that on the first row, the first row is for the first or one member. Column represent first name and the last name, right? So how this is going to work? Let's see. I will say members on the first row with a 0 index, or the first column is a 0 index, is going to be the name Sarthak. Now similar to this, I'm going to say, hey, on the first row, the second column is going to be the surname. So SHRIVSTAVA, Shrivastava. So this become the full name for me, Sarthak and Shrivastava, which should be like Sarthak comes here, Shrivastava comes here. So this is the one. Now similar to this, we can create any members detail, full detail. So I can say on the first index, that means the second row, we can add like Manpreet, and then we can add Singh. So this becomes the multi-dimensional array. And now if we want to have the value for it, so we can print it like, hey, I want to add I want to get first row with the first column, which should be the Sarthak,
and this is how we can add the array on the multidimensional array and get it. It's really useful when you have a lot of information packed in a single element, or single array name, and that's really amazing to see how we can create the multidimensional array in Java. Cool. So every concept is, I think, clear. If not, just comment below and I will going to answer it and try to solve it. Let's move to the next big thing in Java. Now, this episode is especially for understanding Java arrays in details. So more on Java arrays, which we are going to understand. So this time I'm going to work with the integer level array. So I'm going to create a single level array or single dimensional array with the length of 2, where it should be int only. Cool. So I'm going to say that this is going to be the integer of, or it's an array of prices. So I'm going to name it prices. So let's say prices, the first value is going to be 25, and then prices, the second value with the first index is going to be the 44, let's say. Yeah. So where or how this array actually works? So for that, I have a very nice this demonstration of how the array is actually work. So suppose we have an array length of 10. Right now we have a 2, we can make it 10 also, right, like this. So when we have length of 10 in the array, then all these array element or the element index will align from 0. From the left, you can see the first index is 0 with the first value, and later on it will move. So the index 8 is the value at the index 8 is called the element of that array on the index 8. So this is called the index, and each and every index has a specific memory location inside the memory. So that's why when we say that we are creating an integer array, then Java is going to hold 10 integer memory inside your Java memory. Okay, so this is going to hold for the 10 different locations for the integer value, and that's why this array is always going to hold this much of values even if you don't have anything, because if you don't have anything, you have the default value. So remember, you have to create the integer length or array length. You have to create the array length very specifically. Whatever you need, create that much only, otherwise you don't want to waste your memory. So there are multiple other things in the arrays, so you can see that we can get the length. So if we do this length thing, then we have 10 here, which is we have defined. So let's say 3 and another, let's say price with a third value or second element is 0, 1 only. So creating the array and initializing the empty array with the length is okay, and later on we can provide the element, which is absolutely fine. But we can also do something like initializing and adding value at the same time. How we can do that? Instead of doing this, we can just use our curly bracket, and then we can say, hey, I want 25, 44 and 01. In this way, we don't have to define the length of the array. We don't have to provide what should be the type, because type is already there. We are directly providing the value just like we do on our variables. So we can remove this thing and then we can try to run it, and you will see that it's going to give us 3 as the length. Why? Because we have 3 element. Later on, if we want to add one more, then obviously this will become the 4 length of the array. So it's dynamic according to the element we are providing inside this array. So this is really great stuff, and obviously if you really want to get some value, you can do something like previously we did.
which is like this, and third element will be 0 5. Very easy, obviously the normal stuffs. Now we want to learn about the strings in Java, and this is going to be really fun because we are going to start with very basic. So we understand that how we can create the array. This time I'm going to create an array of char. Remember the type char, which can only hold a letter. And yes, so to create array, we know we need to give the type, which is in char. Then after that we need to give the name. But to make it an array, we can use the square bracket like this. After that, we can right now initialize with the value for this array, and we need to use this curly bracket. Now, since this is an array, we need to provide the array of all the letters of a name. So for my name, this will be like SARTHA, and the K. So this is how we have created the name array of char, the characters. Now things are getting interesting when we try to print this name array. So let's try and run this program and see what will be the result. Result include amazing thing. This time we are getting all the values or element of an array of char array, and isn't it like a string? Yes. So the string in Java is basically a array of char. Now to make this thing simple, we can just use string as a type, then say name, and then either in single quotes or in double quotes we can define whatever we want to provide. So this time we have not created any array, we have created a normal variable with the type of string, and exactly the same result. So with this we understand that the strings in Java is basically an array of characters. So if this string is a array, then this means we can also get the length. But this time we need to call the length method or length function for this name. So let's now try and see, we are getting 7. So since this is behind the scene is an array, we can do this length thing also. But we need to remember one thing, that this is a string type, not really an array. Yes, behind the scene we are dealing with the array, but unlike array, you cannot change the value of the character for any element in the name string. So if I try to add R on the first place on the 0th index, you cannot do that because strings in Java are immutable. Immutables means you cannot change the content directly. Yes, you can change the name to something else, let's say John. You can totally change it, but you cannot change the content of the string, right, like you can change in any array. So apart from this, we can do more things with the strings. So let's create another called last name, and my last name is Srivastava. So I want to print full name. This means I want to add or connect the first name and the last name together. How we can do that? For this, I'm going to create another string called full name, and I call this one as the first name. Then we can simply say first name plus last name, and that's it. By doing this, we will be able to get our full name in our console. So this is very easy and easy to understand. But remember, we need a space in between, so you can add a space just like this. Yes, this is so easy to understand. And we have added the space. This means Sarthak space Srivastava. Now there is another method of connecting two strings in Java. What you have to do, you just need to
first start with the variable name, like we have a variable name called first name, a string. Then you have a lot of other methods available for the string type, but we are interested in concat. So concatenating with other variable. Yes, I forgot sometime. So I'm going to say last name, and we know that this is not having any space, so both string will be concatenated or joined, connected, right, like this. But you can also do something like dot concat, not this, concat inside this you can provide a space, or you can just say like this, and then this is going to work because we are concatenating two strings. First is a space as a string, yes, its space is considered as a string, and then the last name, so Sarthak space Srivastava. So we have seen that we have more option on the string. So as soon as you type dot to access many methods for our string, you can see we have a 2 uppercase. So when you say 2 uppercase, obviously the name suggests it's going to uppercase your string. All the things should be uppercased, but we have used the lowercase, that's why it's lowercased. So maybe I can say 2 uppercase. Yes, we are here, and we need to run it, and we will see that all the letters are uppercased. There are many methods available for a string, but you need to play around with them. It's not good to show each and every one because all are obvious. Let's have one more called replace. So if I want to replace Srivastava with Savvy, so like this, and let's try to run it. Okay, so I think I need to use this double quotes like here. Yep, so double quotes is here, and it should run Sarthak with Savvy. It has replaced Srivastava with Savvy word. So like this you can play around every time you want. Now here we have created first name as Sarthak and then last name as Srivastava. Now what if later on we say, hey, last name is now going to be Savvy. Okay, so what happened with this Srivastava? It's just replaced on the same memory. The content is now changed. So this one is actually not removed or deleted, it just loses its handle. So it is really available in the memory somewhere, but we don't have anything to point to that memory so that we can retrieve it, because this variable is now pointing to this savvy string wherever it is in the memory. So remember this thing, that if you are not using any string or it's not having any reference or any handle, then it's not like it's gone or removed or deleted. It is there, it's taking your space, so be sure on that thing. Now suppose I'm going to create another variable called last, or just ln for last name, and giving the same shrivstava, giving the same exactly the string inside this. Now at this point there are two variables pointing to the same memory location, because the string Srivastava here and here are actually referenced on the same point. So these are the referencing the same point in the memory for these two strings. So these are some of the amazing things in string inside the Java, and I hope you got the point. And if you have any issue with understanding anything inside this, just comment below and I will going to solve your problem. Cool, let's move in the Java journey. So this time we will learn about the if else statements. So what this if else can do is, think about a scenario where you want to do certain task if
some condition is true, otherwise you want to do something else. For example, if my marks in my exam is greater than 33%, then I will consider as a pass, otherwise I will consider as a fail. So let's see how we can print this thing with the condition, that means using the if statement. For now I'm just going to create a boolean, not a boolean, I just want to create a marks. So I will say int marks is equal to, let's say, 45. Now I want to create a if else statement. So how you can create a if statement? It's very easy. You just need to say if, then you need to use the parenthesis. Inside this parenthesis you need to give either true or false. So if I say true, and then I need to create the parenthesis to say or to tell to Java that, hey, this if statement starts from this line and ends on line number 6. See this line number 6 here, right here. Okay, now when this condition becomes true, so we have given directly true, so whatever we say, like if I say string I am inside of if statement, and then if I try to run it, obviously I have to comment this out. Now I have commented, that means this part is not inside the code, this is not the code part. So when I run it, it's just going to run this thing which is saying that I am inside the if statement. Now what if I say false? So if I say false here, it's not going to print anything because it will not go after this fourth line inside this if statement. Or I can say that if this condition, whatever we have defined inside the parenthesis after this if that is returning false, or that condition is false, then it will just skip all these lines and go right after this. So if I say like here, I am outside of if statement, if I now run it, you will see we will get this outside statement only, outside, because this condition is false and Java is skipping all these lines of if block. So from line number 4 to line number 6 is called if block. Okay, so we need to always make sure we are returning some kind of true or false. So if I say marks is greater than 33, so I'm saying that whatever the value for the marks variable, if that is greater than 33, then I just need to print passed. Okay, otherwise it will go outside it. So let's see if I run it, what's the value. So we know that marks is 45, which is obviously greater than 33, so that's why it's saying passed. Now what if I say 25 is the real marks, and then if I run it, so this will evaluate first and it says that okay, 25 is not greater than 33, this statement is false, then it will skip the if block and just print outside statement. So this is very easy. In programming, if statement are extensively used very often. Now apart from this, you can see that if this condition is false, then we don't have any fallback condition. Like what if something is not there, then what I have to do? Because whether this if block works or not, whether Java will go inside if statement or not, this line number 8 is always going to print. Okay, so this is how we did it, like this. So if I say marks 45, then it will print two times. One is for this line number 5 because it's becoming true, and other is this one. But I don't want to always print something. I only want to print if this statement become false. In that case, you can use the else statement. So just after this, just after the if block, you can start writing else. And similar to the if statement, else
need this parenthesis. And see this, else is just the fallback part, or I can say this condition is false, then go to this condition. If this condition is true, do not go to this condition. So it will be either this block or this block, okay, depending upon the condition we have given here. Now what's going to happen? We can say that, hey, if it is true, then passed, otherwise fail. Okay, so now if marks is greater than 33, then I will print passed, otherwise I will print failed. So I'm removing other statements and then run it. And yes, you can see it's saying passed. Now what if I change it to 15 only? Then if I run it, it should print failed, which is here. So this is if else statement. Generally we move this else statement or else word just after the parenthesis closing for the if block. This is saying that it's called if else block. Now I want to add one more condition. What if user is getting or student is getting 100 out of 100? Then we need to have a special condition which should be like, if user is having marks of 100, I will just say congratulations for the full marks, because then failed, passed doesn't matter. Okay, so first I need to check like if marks is equal to, so to check equality between two things, I need to use double equal sign. If marks is 100, then print out congrats, okay, else if. So now this is really good condition. We are saying else if, that means on the else part there is another condition. So think about this, inside this else we have another if statement. So there is a if, there is a else, and there is a else if. So if marks is 100, say congratulations, otherwise if marks is greater than 33, say passed, or else just say failed. Now what's going to happen in this case? Obviously this is failed, but what if I say 55? Then it should just say passed. Let's see, yes. But what if I say marks is 100 out of 100? Let's see, and congrats, cool. So this is about the if else and else if statements, which is absolutely important in Java. Now similar to this if else statement, we also have one more amazing thing called switch statement. Switch, as the name suggests, switching the different value. So we do have the switches in our room. We say that, okay, if I switch this fan button on, fan is turned off. But if we have a light button, we can turn it on, then the light just glow up. Now what happened when we move to the programming world? How the switch works? Switch is actually similar to if else statement, but more of the exact value. Now let's have another good example of this one. So I'm going to create 7 letters or 7 numbers, no, not letter, numbers. So int, and I say day is equal to 2. Now what is the second day? So if I start from Monday will be the first day, and then Tuesday will be the second day. So how we can write this in if statement? So if day is equal to 2, then I say that, okay, print Monday, Tuesday. So Tuesday, T-U-S-E, like this. Or I'm missing some. What's happened? Oh, Tuesday, like this. So if the day is 2, then print this one. Then I say else if day is equal to 1, then I should print Monday and something like that. Monday. So let's run it and then we will see how we can convert this to switch statement. Yep, Tuesday is there, and if I make it 1, then it will going to print the Monday. Cool. Now what if I provide a value for which is out of the scope, like 33? There is no day number with 33. So what should this print? It's not printing anything right now. So I say else part, and in this else I say invalid day number. Okay, now let's run it, and yes, we are getting invalid day number. Now let's convert all these things into switch statement, which is more clean, more clear and easy to understand. So I will comment this all if statements and then start from here. Let's zoom little bit. So here, now let's say switch. You need to use the keyword switch. After that, in the parenthesis, you can provide the variable which you always need to compare. So yes, we have this, and obviously everywhere you need to start and close the curly braces to define the block of that statement. So this is a switch statement. So from line number 11 to 13 is the block of switch statement. Now how we can say that, okay, if day is 2 then print Tuesday, or day is 1 print Monday? So I just need to use a word called case. So what is the case? Case is 1 should, when this switch is running, then this will compare day with the value we have given after the switch statement, after the case word. Then we need to use the colon to define that, okay, this is not just end, we need to run more things. And after that you can see there is an indentation. Indentation means some of the space are already given. This defines that the whatever we are doing is inside this case statement. Now I just need to print out this Monday, so I can copy and paste it. Now let's run it and see what we are getting if we are having value as 1. Run it, and this time we are getting Monday. Cool. So what if I do this case 2? So just like this, we need to go 1 step back, 1 tab back, like here, then case and the value 2, and after that I can just copy paste Tuesday. Yep. So this time when the value of day is exactly equal to 2, then it will going to print Tuesday. Now comes the very important point. How we can write the else statement, like when there is no match. Similarly, I'm going to give day number as 33, and what if we are giving invalid day number? Currently we don't have anything. So for the switch statement we have very nice thing called default. Okay, now default says that whatever you are doing, if none of the condition is matching, then I'm going to do this thing. So let's run it, and yeah, so it should say invalid day number. Cool. So let's run it and see what's going to happen. We are running and we get invalid day number. Let's really get back to 2, which should print Tuesday, and let's see what's going to happen once again. So this time, yes, we are getting this Tuesday, but we have a slight issue. We are also getting this invalid day number. But I said that this is only going to work when nothing is matched. No, actually this always going to match, always going to run if the code or if Java reaches that point. So let's see how Java is reading this switch. So Java start from here. It says whatever the value of day, I'm going to compare with each case. So it says that is the day value 1 and day is 2. So it says, okay, no, this is false. I'm not going inside it. I will not go on line number 13. Then it says, is the day value matches with 2? It says yes. So let's move inside the 15th line and do whatever we have defined here. Then it says, okay, what is the default value? I have to print it. Let's run it. So what actually happened is once it matches any statement, any case, we need to break the switch at that point. So for this, we have a break word. So if I say break, break means that means if Java move inside this case statement in line number 15 and 16, then just after this, break the switch statement, do nothing after this, just stop it here. Cool. So let's run this one again and see what's going to happen. So run it. And this time we are just getting Tuesday, not getting invalid day. So similar to this, we need to give the break on Monday, that means the first one. And if I say 1 here, run it, and yep, Monday is there. And now what about 33 or any number like 34? So which is obviously not a day number or invalid day. So like this, we are getting invalid day. Why we are getting invalid day? Because there is the Java will not go either this statement or this statement. It directly land to this statement because all above are false. So this is absolutely important to understand the break, use of default in this switch statement. Cool. Let's move forward in Java. The extremely essential part of every programming language or any programming language is the loops. Now, loop actually reduces your code and can be useful for many purposes. When you have a lot of data and you want to do similar kind of things with every data, then instead of having if else statement or switch statement many times, you can just do a loop. Now, what is a loop? So loop is just a block of statement which runs again and again with similar or different values depending upon your coding style. So whatever it is, but the block of statement runs again and again and again until the condition is true. As soon as the condition becomes false, it just break and go outside of that block. Now, how we can start with the for loop? So I have created an array of the day names. So I call it days. It's a array of string, and we will use this array to understand the for loop. But before that, let's start with a statement block. So you need to use the for keyword, and after parenthesis, as always, we need to use this curly braces. Curly braces is just going to define the block for the for statement. So from line number 7 to line number 9 is the block for the for statement. Now here we can do something. So we always try to do the print. So let's say I am inside for loop. Okay, but we are getting some error. What error it says? First is inside this parenthesis, we need to define generally 3 things. First is the variable, second is the condition, and third is the variable change, or I can just write it change. But let's start with variable. If you already have variable, let's say int x is equal to 1, yes, you can always use x like this, or you can define the integer directly inside this for statement. So I say int x is equal to 1, and as always you need to give semicolon. Yes, inside this parenthesis you need to give semicolon to say to the Java that hey, this initialization of variable is already done. But still it says semicolon because remember I told you we need the 3 things: variable, condition, and change. So here comes the condition and then semicolon to define that hey, condition statement is done, and then change. Okay, now you don't have to give semicolon here, it's just the last thing, so that's fine. But if you are not providing anything, it doesn't matter. So let's try to run this thing and see what's going to happen. So I'm running it and see, it's actually a infinite loop. you can see it's keep on running this for loop again and again and again and again and again, and this is consuming our memory. So I'm going to kill it. I think I need to use the stop. So now it is stopped, and this happened because we have not defined any condition like when this for loop is going to end. So what's happening now? Let's see. I say that for every value of x equal to 1, print this thing, print this thing. Now it will say, okay, let's check the x condition again. It says still x is 1, let's print it. And let's check the x again, still it's 1, let's print it, print it, print it. So that's why we are always getting this print statement, because x value is always 1, it's not changing. So we need to increment the value of x every time we go inside this loop. So I'm going to say x is equal to x plus 1. Now this is a weird statement, but what we are doing here is first we are adding 1 to the existing value of x, and then the result will be assigned to the x again. So remember, in programming, this is the assignment operator, and whatever we define on the right side of the assignment operator, this first evaluated. So when this is going to run, it says that okay, value is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, x become 2. Then comes second times, it says previously x was 2, so let's add one more, it become 3. Now the x value is 3, something like that. So now let's print the value of x instead of that statement. So what should be the result? Let's run it and see what's going to happen, and it's going to be fun. So I'm running it, and now you can see the x value is incrementing very fast for every loop, and it become 1,000 and lakhs and crores and millions and whatever it is. So I'm going to stop it once again, and let's understand why that happened. Remember, every time we run this condition, every time we run this loop, it will go check all these conditions and then go inside the loop. So every time the loop ends, it restart and check for the condition. We don't have the condition, it says okay, there is no condition, let's continue again. Then it says that okay, there is no condition, let's continue, let's continue, let's continue, and that's why it's keep on running. So let's write the condition that run this for loop only if x is less than 10. So it should run only 9 times, 1 to 9. As soon as this condition becomes false, the Java will go outside of this for loop. So let's try to run it and see how this is going to work. Run it, and only 10 times. Why that happened? Because initial value is 1 and we started from printing. We started printing from 2. So first it says that okay, value is 1, increment it and then print. So value is 1, increment by 1 is become 2, print 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and when it goes to the 9th value, then it's adding 1, printing 10, and then it checking after this, because at this point, after this point, I can say the for loop ends, and when the condition is checked, once the loop is end. So first this statement end, then it says that okay, 10 is not less than 10, so let's kill this for loop. Okay, you can also do one thing, you can first print and then increment. This is also good. So let's run it, and it should now first print 1, then add it and it will become 2, then print 2, then make it 3. So on that statement, it starts from 1 and goes till 9. But we know that there is another third block here. So instead of incrementing the value of x like this, we can also do like, hey, just do one thing, x plus plus. What is this plus plus? Plus plus means increment the value of x by 1. So when we do this thing, let's see what's going to happen. One more time, if we want to run it, it starts from 1, goes till 9, because this x plus plus works when the first iteration is times, how many times it's going. So first iteration ends, then it says that okay, what we have to do, increment the value by 1, and this is how the loop actually works. But it's not always like you have to go with all the iterations. For some condition, you can actually break our for loop. So remember the time when we didn't have any condition, we can actually add the condition like here. So if x value become greater than 10, then just break. Remember the switch statement, switch case, we had the break. Similar to that, we have the break here. So now we are not having any condition, but the condition this which we have defined is going to break our loop, which is just going to print our the print statement only for 10 times, not the 11 times, maybe 11. Let's see what's going to happen. So yeah, it's 11 times starting from 1, because at the time when we had this condition, it already has incremented from 10 to 11, and that's why it says that okay, 11 is greater than 10, and now I'm going to break, and that's why we are not getting 12. And now we can also remove this increment from here. We can increment directly like this is equal to x plus 1, or x plus plus is also a good thing. So what if I print now? Let's print it and see what's going to happen. Once again, from 2 to 11, because we are right now before printing we are incrementing, and that's why the value of 1 become 2 and then printing. Now I only want to print this if the value of x is an even number. How we can check an even number? We have to use the if statement, and we can say that x mod of 2, percentage of 2 is equal to 0. If x divided by 2 remainder is 0, then yes, that number is an even number, and then print this even number like here. So continue like here, and yes, you can see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But I don't want to print here, I want to print outside. But if I print outside, it will print all the numbers. So what I have to do, just increment the value of x by 1 and then check if it is an even number. If it's an even number, then continue. That means do not go outside of this statement. If it is an even number, do not go outside it like this, and now it's going to be something here. So it's printing odd numbers. Why? Because first it says value is 1 and increment is 2. So value became 2. It says that okay, yes, it's an even number, so continue. That means do not go on this part. Then it says value is 2, increment it, value become 3. It's not going inside this statement. That means it will going to print all these things, or it will going to check all these code. Then again value become 4. At this time it become okay, so 4 is an even number, let's continue. That means do not go on this statements. So this is how for loop works. You can either manually do increment and break or continue, or you can just say hey, all these things should be inside of this block of statement of this for loop. Very nice. So if you are not getting it, I will suggest you to just go back and re-watch this video, because it's very important to understand how loop works. And now let's work on, or let's understand do and do while loop in Java. Now remember, I had created this days array, and I want to work with that array instead of this all these variable thing. And now it's time for that. So let's remove this thing, and using in the for loop, I'm going to say for, and actually there is a for each. Now So for each and for is actually same. So I say for, inside the parenthesis I'm just going to say I need a string called day from an array of days, and that's it. And now let's print this day. So I'm going to print it and run it. Yes, you can see on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all are here. So what happened here actually? So it says that run this loop for how many times? The length of this days. Now for this days, every time you go, when you get the element, first element of this array, just call it day and print it. When you go second times, you get Tuesday, then assign this day variable with this value, the Tuesday value, and print it. So this is similar. But if you really want to use the old way, then we need to say that, hey, integer x is equal to 0. I'm starting with 0 because in an array the element start with 0 index, so that's why I'm doing that. So when this for loop is going to run, how many times? Run this for loop until x is less than days dot length. So what is the length? It's going to be 7, and run it until the value of x is less than 7, that means until 6. So from 0 to 6 it will become 7, and every time just increment the value of x. Okay, this is good, but how we can actually print each value? Remember, every time the loop runs or every iteration we get the value of x. So on the first iteration we get the value of x as 0. So can we do something like this? Days and 0 is going to print Monday, 1 is going to print Tuesday, and if I just say x, so every iteration we get days 1, the value of x is 1, days second times it will go, and days 2, 3, although it starts from 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is how we can get all these days value printed here. So this is exactly same. Either you can use this statement, which is old way, or you can use a for each statement for each loop in Java. So apart from for and for each loop, we also have while and do while loop. While and do while is actually the shortest form of, I can say short form of for loop. So in for loop we define the variable, we define the condition, and then we can define the change. But in the while loop you just define the condition, but every other thing you have to manage. So remember, we have this x less than days, so let's use this here, and then use curly braces, which is always we do. But what is x? Where we can have the x? So you need to explicitly define the x is equal to 0 outside of this while loop. Then how we can change it? So you need to change it right here, plus plus, like this, and then you can simply say system out of days with the value of x. And this is exactly similar to whatever we have done 2 times with the for and the for each loop. But what is the difference? Difference is very nice, that all the things is in your hand. You are managing everything. The definition of defining of the variable is in your hand. Increment is in your hand. If you want to break, yeah, you can break it or use continue. It's all in your hand, and that's why while loop is better in one sense. But in other sense, for loop is always easy to remember, easy to implement, because in for loop everything is in your point of view. So now for define the variable, condition, and increment it. But here maybe sometime you forgot to increment, or maybe you will think about where is the variable defined. So suppose I have defined this int x is equal to 0 at the top, then you are using x here, and then you will say where I have defined it. So in a sense while is good, in a sense while is bad, but it's totally depend upon you which loop you want to use. So something like this. We also have one more called do while loop. Do something. So after this do, we have this this parenthesis, this curly braces, and then we have a while the condition is true. So while the x is less than the length of this, so semicolon to close it, do something, and here, and after that increment it. So what's the difference between do while and while? So in while, it's never going to run if this condition is false at the first time, but do while is always going to run at least once. Let's see. First, if we run it and we see that we have some error, it says wait, what happened with the x? We don't have x. Oh, so I have x here. So now I can just run it once again, and yes, everything is fine. Cool. But what if I say value of x as 9? When I say value of x as 9 and run it, it will going to run once, but it's giving error because there is nothing called days with a value of 9. And this is saying that index 9 is out of bound and this is happening because we are inside this statement. So what if instead of this I say I am inside do and run it? So you will see that we are getting I am inside do, although the condition is initially false. So its condition is never going to be true, but it's giving one time, the loop is running one time. What if we say while loop? Is this going to work? Let's see. It's not working any times, but you have seen that we have some safety feature in while, that we never go inside this statement, but in do while loop we have one once it's running, so maybe you can fall in a trap. Anyways, so this is more on the loops inside the Java. Let's move with the journey in Java. When we write our code in any programming language, we can have some kind of errors. So suppose I forgot to add the semicolon, and if I try to run this function or this program, then you can see that we are getting this error. So this is called the error when something is not right in your code. But what if everything is right, but still we are missing something? Our code is giving any kind of error. But how that can happen if everything is syntax wise correct? So you can see everything is looking good, and I'm going to just print 37 divided by 2. Now what's going to happen? Let's see when we try to run it. You can see we are getting 18. That's really thing, normal stuffs, everything is fine, no error, no problem here. But what if we divide this by 0? Now things are still good, our code is right, it's not having any kind of syntax error, everything is perfect. But you know that when we try to run this function, we are getting this exception. Although everything is fine in our code, but when we run this code, we are getting some kind of exception, and the exception is divide by 0 exception. It's a arithmetic once again, it's a arithmetic exception, and we have no clue that how we can deal with this exception. Now exception word is normal in our daily life. What we say that, hey, this person is a exceptional case. Exceptional case means it's not normal things, but something different and something which is not in the daily life. So this happened, and if we want to handle this, if we want to show a proper error message to the user instead of this kind of error message, which is a Java message which can break your program, we can still do something.
And here comes the try catch block. So there is a try and a catch block. So as the name suggests, it says that try something. If something is breaking, if some exception is raised, then catch that exception and do something. Okay, let's try. So I will say try, and then I need to create a block of try catch. So I say try to print this thing, but after that you need to catch if there is any error. So in this error, we need to define which kind of error we are trying to accept here. But right now, yes, we know that there is a arithmetic exception, but what if there is a general exception? So I say exception, and you can see now error is gone, and here I can say that something went wrong. Something went wrong. Okay, now this thing is not going to break our program, and this feels like, okay, this is a part of program and we are giving user a user-friendly message instead of all these jargon. So let's try to run it and see what's going to happen. We are running it, and you can see we are getting a very nice message that something went wrong, and if we know what kind of error we have, we can do something else. So whenever there is problem in your code which is arising on your runtime, then at that time, if something is happening and something wrong is happening, this catch block can handle it, can do something for the user instead of just breaking down the program. Now what happened if we really want to handle this exception, which is an arithmetic exception? So I will say arithmetic exception, and E is the exception value which is holding all the message. So I can say E dot get message, which is going to give me the real message which should be arised when we don't have the catch block. And now the message is divided by 0 error. So yes, this is the try catch statement, which is absolutely important in the programming world, where you can handle a lot of things and show a particular error instead of the programming language unreadable and unfriendly error message. Now one thing also you can do, instead of having only one catch, you can also have catch for multiple kind of exception, because in programming you never know what kind of error can arise here. So what we can do here, I'm going to create a array of nums, that means numbers, and assigning numbers like 2, 3, 4 and 5, just all these things, not else. Okay, now it says number is not used. Let's use this number, and when I say number, give me the second index value, which should be 0, 1, 2, that means the number 4, and it should print 4 here instead of giving any kind of error. That's good. Okay, so I need to remove this thing also. Okay, run this program. Yeah, we are getting 4. Now what if we give an index which is not available in this array? Now what's going to happen now? Let's see. We should get an exception. This is an exception which it says that array index out of the bound exception, array index out of the bound exception. But we are having try catch. Why we are not catching this error? Because you see that here we are saying that, hey, only catch an error for arithmetic exception. If we generally want to accept all the exceptions or catch all the exception, you have to use this exception, and which is very general, nothing fancy, nothing user friendly. So if we run this, we get the message, yes, but it says that index 8 out of the bound for length 4, and you can remove this thing and also try the old one, which we had 37 divided by 2, and we need to use this inside this. So
this is going to work for every kind of exception, but we don't want this thing like this. So maybe I can show you quickly. Yes, it's not user friendly that much. So what we can do, we can have one exception case for array index out of the bound, and then we can have another one for arithmetic exception, and we can customize the error for every kind of exception. Now I can say we are facing arithmetic exception, and here instead of giving this kind of error, we can say that hey, array index is not available. So available, something like that. Cool. So these messages are more user friendly, and since we know that this is always going to happen when we have some array index out of the bound exception, and this one is also going to work only when we have an arithmetic exception, and that's why we are facing arithmetic exception. But if I run this command or this code, this is going to say that hey, array index is not available. Cool. So we get our try catch thing, but one more important thing is missing in this section, which is for the finally. Now what happened is, yes, we say that run this if something is happening or something exception is raised, then try this thing. But what if we always want to do something? So finally part is there. Finally says that I'm going to run, doesn't matter if there is an error or not. So I say out of the bound, I am finally block. Okay, now this one is always going to run whether we are having any error or not. So see, right now we obviously have an error, so we should get the array is not available, and then after that finally block. Now if I try to get the index of 2, which is obviously available, then we should not get any exception, but on of that, or I can say over that, we still getting this finally block, because finally says that hey, I'm going to run always whether there is an error or not. Cool. So we understand that how this try catch work, when we can use the general exception, when we can use the specific exception catching, and finally part is for final things. Let's move to the journey of Java. So we are going to end this crash course for Java, because Java is really a big language and we have a lot of concept, but this is just an introduction to the Java. We have not touched any OOPS concept, the object-oriented concept, classes, method, object, because that's itself is a big thing. If you really like this video, if you give thumbs up, and if you really want me to create videos on OOPS concept in Java, yes, I will create, but only if you comment on this video and you ask for that. So we will going to now create a very mini project, little project, where we are going to use all our concept we have used so far. So we are going to create a system which is going to generate the Fibonacci series. Now what is Fibonacci series? So Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series is starting with 0 and then 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, I think 13, yeah, something like that, then 21. So how this series is generated? You start from, first thing is previous number is 0 and next number is 1. This is the initial state. Now what we do, we just sum previous and next. So the next number will now become the sum of previous two. What is the previous two? 0 and 1. So we say 1, like 0 plus 1 will become 1. So the next number is now become 1 and previous become the old next. What was the old next? Old next was 1. So previous number will become 1. Now what will be the next number? So next number will be the sum of previous two. So previous two is num1 and 1. So 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. And now what should be the previous number? Previous number is the next number of last iteration, which is 1. So now what should be the next number? Next number should be the sum of previous and next. So 2 plus 1, 3. So this is the series where we just add first two number to get the next number, and then first two number to get the next number, then first two to get next, something like this. So this is very easy and we are going to work with this. But we need to obviously end at some time. So we need to decide how many iterations or how many Fibonacci numbers we are going to create. So let's create an integer for max numbers. Okay, so let's create 10 Fibonacci series numbers. So what should be the previous number? So previous number is, I said, start from 0. What should be the next number? Next number is start from 1. Now we know that it's a loop. It should move for 10 times. So we are going to say for, let's create a integer for x, initialize it with 1, and let's give a condition that this loop is going to run how many times? 10 times. So until the value of x will equal to or less than 10. I'm saying either equal to or less than 10. And in every iteration just increment the value of x. Now what I have to do, I just need to system out and system out of previous two number. So previous two number is 0 and 1. So let's print previous number plus next number. So when we do this, we always get 1 because 0 and 1 is 1 always. So let's run it, and you can see we are getting 10 times 1 only. But I told you we need to modify the next number, and next number is always going to be the sum of previous numbers. So previous number plus next number on the last iteration. So this is going to work, and this should actually create our Fibonacci series. Run it, and still we are not getting something. So what happened here is 1 1 1 1, we are getting 1 1. Did I saved it? Yes, I saved it, but it's not updating. This is very bad, and this is not actually bad. We just need to reassign the previous number with the next number after we create it. So let's run it, and this time you can see 2 4 8 16. This is not good. So to modify the next number, we just need to first create a sum, which is previous number and the next number. So let's say we have 0 and 1. So I just summed up 0 and 1, and 0 and 1 resulting 1, which should be here. So what should be the next number? The next number is 1. What is the previous number? Previous number is the next number of last iteration. So previous number is now changed to the next number iteration. So I can do this thing after printing. And what should be the next number? Next number is going to be the sum of previous two. Okay, so let's run it. And 1 2 3 5 8 13 21 34 55 89 is the Fibonacci series. So this is how we have created this Fibonacci series using for loop with all the numbers we have created. Actually we can just give max numbers so that we can have the variable. Okay, so this is the crash course for Java. I hope you liked it, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and share with your friends, and comment below what else you want to learn in Java. I'm going to create it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, which is very important. You need to like this video and subscribe, and you can follow me on other platforms also. We will meet in some other crash course. Till then, goodbye.